Surprise, mother. Story Podcast, episode 167, Lamar, Death Ranch.
Well, Joe, we couldn't go through February, Black History Month, without, of course, looking at a Blaxploitation-ish movie. And let me tell you, the KKK is terrible, but it's even more terrible, when they're cannibals.
That's kind of the story here, Lamar. Do you want to go into it? Our first category, story.
So, 3 siblings, Brandon, Angela, and Clarence. Brandon, he has a troubled past. He escapes from prison. And his 2 other siblings are like, okay, we're going to pick you up. We're going to get you out of town. However, unfortunately, when they try to hide out in a ranch, they basically run into not only the KKK, but they're also cannibals. And it's them going up against these KKK members who are cannibals.
Well, I liked it because it's the kind of the typical, it's like a mashup. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like maniacs out in the wilderness somewhere.
Yes.
But then mashing it up with the Blaxploitation, kind of intense at certain points, almost a horror-ish with action and stuff. I liked the story, so I'm giving it a 1.
I agree. I liked certain parts where it's mashing together. And we're going to talk about other things as well. I was like, they missed the mark a little bit. But I like this idea, though. Yeah. I do like it. Like, it's combining Blaxploitation, like you said, like, we don't do a lot of talking about this, but the cannibal, genre. It's combining that. So, yes, I agree. A 1.
Now, usually we do characters as one category, but we're kind of splitting them up. Next category is the main characters. What do we think
the black
of that?
characters? I mean,
let's
just say it. Let's just say it. YouTube don't block us. Algorithm don't hate on us. But yes, it's Blaxploitation movie, and the characters were okay. I would say these characters are good enough for like the story and everything like that. They're not like super stereotypes. And I guess sometimes in Blaxploitation you're going to be like, hey, you suck up.
Yeah.
That stuff. So they were good for the story. You have some backstory. You can tell that they love each other and stuff like that.
That was a good part. So they did a really good job with that, like showing the unity between the siblings.
Yes.
But throughout the movie, I guess they never really fleshed it out completely, the characters, or like you said, they didn't really do anything specific. You know what I mean?
No.
What do you give them?
I'll give them a 1. Passable.
Okay.
Joe?
I'm giving it a half point. I would like to see a little more from the characters.
A little bit more character depth and all that kind of stuff.
But the next category, I have a lot to say, Lamar.
Well, you go ahead. I think you might have more than I have to say, but yeah, go ahead.
The next category, we're calling this category the man. We're talking about our villains, the KKK members.
Who happen to be white. This is Blaxploitation.
Well, we'd assume that, Lamar. They're in the KKK.
Hey, there was a black Klansman, Joe. Excuse me.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Like I said before, this movie had some intense parts.
Yeah.
You had like the cannibalism. They were torturing these people. These are real evil sons of bitches. These guys, the man. Yeah. My problem is the way they were portrayed, super goofy, super almost like mustache twirling villains. It was so over the top that it was a parody, and that pissed me off because it took away from the whole tone of the movie.
Kind of going with what you're saying, it didn't go deep enough, like to who they are. It's just like, it's almost like we just ran into them. They're just cannibals,
Yeah.
You could tell they ate black people, but you didn't have enough scenes where you saw them, I don't know, stirring a pot or whatever and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So it was just kind of like surface level stuff. It was just kind of like, they're KKK members, but they just happen to eat people.
See, I'm even fine with that, like not going super in depth. I just don't like the way they played it off. They were super like, yeah, we're going to get you. Like, they was super over the top, campy, where the rest of the movie was pretty grounded and dark. And then the villains were like campy and goofy.
So you didn't think it matched?
Yeah, it was like a mismatch to me. I'm giving it a 0. Yeah,
Ooh,
I hated
excuse
that
me.
part of
I
it.
thought, oh, okay. I'll give it a 0.5.
Yeah.
I thought that they were more like henchmen more than, something like a super threat. Like, yes, they eat black people. It was kind of like, okay.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, the next category is what did we think of the action slash special effects?
You mentioned that this was kind of like horror.
Yeah, it had
I
some
mean,
elements. Yeah.
that it had elements. I was more like amazed by the blood spatters that they had
Yeah.
in this movie. Like there was like blood flying all over the place and stuff like that, kind of spaghetti westernish type of
Yeah.
thing going on. I like that part. I think it's because we watch so many movies, Joe. The blood, the digital blood is just
Yeah.
terrible,
Yeah.
and
I
I
hate it.
hate it. I Yeah. So with this one, you see the blood splatter all over the place. It's like, oh yay, blood all over the place. So yeah, I liked it.
Yeah. This was on point. I thought like the special effects were all practical. There was cutting off of body parts and forcing people to eat body parts, and it was all pretty, gruesome and stuff. So I'm giving it 1 point.
I agree. It is a one. Yes.
Our last category here is the homage to the genre, the
Yes.
blaxploitation, sticking it to the man genre.
It was cool. I feel like they could have did a little bit more. Like I'll say this, and not to go too far. If the black characters were a little bit more of that 70s acting and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and that matched like the actual Klans members, would it have been better for you then?
Probably. Like I said, to me, there was dueling tones. So either you
Yeah.
had to go over the top with the main characters, but then the whole thing would have ended up with a comedy vibe to it, or tone down the villains because they were goofy.
Yeah, for me, I think this movie, nothing is going to top as of right now either Black Dynamite or Three the Hard Way.
Yeah.
I think this movie did a nice try. It didn't do like a full like I like the action. Characters were cool. The
Mm-hmm.
KKK stuff was like, eh. The
Yeah.
action was okay. Loved the blood splatter, but it was like, it was okay. It didn't knock my socks off as that classic blaxploitation feel. I'm giving it a half.
I'm also giving it a half, and here's why: because they established the vibe in the beginning.
They
They
did.
had kind of like the old car. They had the music, especially for me. It started off great, and the
Mm-hmm.
music was all well done throughout the movie, but it lost the tone of the blaxploitation, and it became more of a modern score.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it. I knew it. I was like, Joe is going to say something about this.
And the score on its own was fine. It was great, but it lost the tone of the blaxploitation, the throwback, and that bothered me. I was like, oh no, you had it. They had the whole vibe in the first couple minutes, and then they lost it a little bit. So that's why I'm giving it a half.
I was like, I know Joe's going to
Well, Lamar retaliated the score, and this movie it was solid, a 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5. It's a nice watch. It's not like the most glorious thing. It's like, oh, I see
Yeah.
what they were going for, but it didn't go to that next level.
I did enjoy myself. I would have loved it if it would have just picked the right tone and stuck with it the whole way. Does that wrap this up then?
It does, Joe.
All right. Death Ranch. Peace.
Juices.